James had struggled with depression, I think for most of his adult life. James passed away when he was 30. He died by suicide. He hid his depression for a long time. He hid it from me at the start, and then we moved in together. I think now I'm like, I totally should have seen that coming. Like, he was very much I believe, a poster child for someone who was in a lot of danger, but I didn't have that knowledge, of course, at the time. So even though I knew that my husband had depression and it was severe, I just never imagined that that he would take his own life. So yeah, at the time it was a total shock. When the reality of the loss really set in, that was very hard for me, and I felt like there were lots of well-intentioned but unreasonable expectations on me in terms of my grief. People want you to be back to the you that you were, and I struggled for many years to get back to that. And then it was I was we met 2013? No, 2014. So that's
2014.
like 2.5 years in, and I was just on Facebook and saw some widow groups, widow meetups sort of casually popping up. And I don't know, I just decided, I need to meet. I wanted to meet another widow who'd lost her husband to suicide. And I went along and I met Beck, and
I guess it was just so much relief to have that connection with somebody else who really understood that there was a little bit of like joy that came through with that relief as well. It was like you could say something and rather than have other people look at you in horror as if to say like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that, I'm so uncomfortable, how do I react? Another widowed person can just say, oh my gosh, me too, and you can just sort of like breathe again and a weight get lifted.
Because I think what led me to it as well was I started to feel like I was burdening my family and burdening my friends, people that didn't know what I was going through, and I started to socially isolate myself because I felt like I was the Debbie Downer, and if people were going to ask me how I was either going to have to lie or go, I'm not doing so great, and then you feel like you're ruining the time. When I catch up with my widow friends, I can be real.
And finding that camaraderie and that connection and that validation that came with having widowed friends, it sort of sparked the idea that that would be something amazing to offer to all young widowed people in Australia. So knowing that a lot of people hadn't felt motivated or able to look for the support in the way that we did, and finding that through a Facebook support group, we wanted to formalise an organisation that would provide peer support and connection to all young widowed people.
I think this is something that people will, with love comes loss, and there's no way around that, and I think sometimes this kind of a loss, the loss of the one that you love, the person that you chose to do life with, it's a big loss. We can sometimes underestimate just how big an impact it can have on someone's life and finding their way forward. And I know that I've been able to get to a place that I didn't think I would be able to get to, which is genuinely enjoying life again and living a life that I'm glad I have again. So without this, without First Light, and without being able to connect to other widowed people, and it's easier when you're in, a city, but I think, gosh, if I wasn't living in a city at the time, it would have just been harder, that feeling so alone. And the reality is that we can't build this, and we can't make these connections for people, make it easier for people to connect. It doesn't occur without people supporting us financially.
The reality of being widowed is that it does suck. It's really hard, and you can't get around that. And people like you to sort of brush over it and pretend you're fine and that it's not as painful as it is, but it is really, really difficult. And the only way to move forward is to go through that pain and healing, and connecting with other widowed people and accessing information and resources is creates an opportunity for people to move through that pain easier and maybe sooner than they would
Yeah.
if they didn't access help.